We're going to take a look at some of the tools that will help us to repair this image. Whenever possible, you want to use some global repair mechanisms and handle the image in one fell swoop. I'll show you a couple of tools that are usable here. Under Filters, if we go into Noise, one that stands out is Dust and Scratches. Reduced noise is really good for digital photography where you get some stochastic kind of random signal noise that comes from the CCDs themselves. So you could use that. Dust and Scratches for traditional photography. And I'm just going to zoom into this image just a little bit more. And there are two things that it focuses on, radius and threshold. Threshold relates to the number of levels of gray, and radius relates to the number of pixels in the sample that it tries to make the same. Now, the thing is, with dust and scratches like we're seeing here, just bring it up here, they arise because there's an abrupt change in color and tone. That abrupt change in this case is unwanted. So we actually want these pixels to be the same as the pixels around them. And so we tell it to go out, and you'll notice I've told it just go out on a radius of 1 pixel. So in other words, if we were to look at it right down at the pixel level, we're asking it to go out to this 1 pixel and then analyze the pixels 1 pixel out and determine if they are the same or different. Well, it looks at these pixels and it says, you know what, I've looked at this 1 pixel diameter search area, and they all seem to be more or less the same color as the sample point. Therefore, there's nothing wrong. They're all the same. However, if I expand that radius and tell it to go out into an area like this, it suddenly realizes that that sample pixel is not the same as the majority of its neighbors. It's not the same color, so it stands out. So therefore, try to make it the same because it's an aberration. It doesn't belong. So if I increase the radius, I'm bringing in more of those other pixels into the equation, and then it recognizes that those are different from most of the pixels around them, so try and force a sameness on them. Well, the problem is that that sameness can be debilitating. The more sameness we impose on an image, the less detail. So difference is important to an image because we need it to define characteristics using edge. These edges where things are different, like the edge between the head and the cap, and the edge between the eye line and the rest of the face, or the nostrils, the lips, the edge of the face, etc., these are all visual signals that are crucial for us to recognize the image. So certain things we don't want to disappear. We want them to be different. The problem is the computer has no way of knowing which parts need to be made the same and which parts need to be different. So we could get around this just by selecting an area. For instance, where this scratch is, I could select that area and I'll use the lasso tool and I'll give it about a 10 pixel feather radius, and I'll select around here and I'll say, okay, in this case, if I use that same filter, noise, dust and scratches, I could use it in this way and remove it without affecting any of the other detail in the image. So the other way is to protect the image to some degree and say, I'm just going to cancel that. And so when I use this filter, noise, dust and scratches, threshold says, look, don't let this go too crazy because image, meaning it reduces the number of gray levels in that image to the point where we can't render all of the very subtle shadow details that make up that image. It flattens it. So if we say, we're going to put a threshold in here so that you have to preserve at least 100 levels of gray. What that does is it holds this sameness in check. It says, well, hold on a second. I'm going to apply that sameness, but by the same token, my hands are tied. I have to at least guarantee that I preserve 100 levels of gray. So I can't go that crazy and, make sweeping changes, as you would see in this case. So the threshold kind of counterbalances radius, and it's about trying to find the sweet spot. The problem is this image is so replete with aberrations that they become the norm. And it's difficult for the algorithm to separate what's good and what's bad in this image because there's so much bad. So probably this is not a great solution. We probably do not have a global solution, but that said, there's another one that is often used that has an opposite effect, and these are your sharpen filters to reduce shake from in-camera blurring. Just typically sharpening things or trying to find edges and enhancing the difference at those edges. We can use edge sharpening. Or we can go to sharpen and use Unsharp Mask. Here there are 3 values. The amount of sharpening that we want to impose upon the image, and the radius of pixels over which we wish to apply that sharpening. And again, threshold. This is locking down a minimum number of grays that we have to keep. Let's just switch that off to see what happens as we increase the amount of sharpening on that image. You can see that it really starts to enhance the grain that we see in that image. And as we increase the radius, it's pushing that amount of sharpening over a broader range of the gray tones. It's flattening it out to being nearly black and white. So we don't want that because it blows out all of the subtle details. So we want it being just right. So playing with these things, trying to guarantee a minimum, I'm going to say at least nearly 100 grays. And then we can play with settings for the radius and the amount of sharpening. I'm okay with that. All right. Now, so that's unsharp masking. So sharpen and really blurring. It's essentially blurring when we're looking at removing dust and scratches. Oftentimes with color images, you can go into the blue layer and blur the blue channel, not the blue layer, the blue channel, to remove a lot of artifacts like dust and scratches. We're going to look at local level tools now. So if we go up here, the first one that we're presented with is called the spot healing brush. Again, it uses a sampling technique, which is determined by the size of the brush. Right bracket makes it bigger, left bracket makes it smaller. I also want to control the hardness of the brush, set that down to 0, so we have a nice soft edge. Hardness down to 0, so our brush has a nice soft edge. That will blend the pixels in much nicer. Now I'm just going to zoom in to an area that I'm going to work on. And you can see, I click there, and what it does is it samples the surrounding pixels and blends them in to obscure areas that need fixing. You notice I'm doing it in the area in question. It would look weird if we were sampling areas out here. So the sample is taken in from that circular area determined by the brush. We can do a lot of spot healing. You've just got to be careful, because if you do it too much in one location from the same location, you start to get a pattern that evolves. And so, yeah, you could give a little bit of a smudge, I suppose. And it'll work fairly well in certain situations. And right now we're using a content-aware version of it. So it's wary of the pixels that it's picking up from around that area, and it's wary of where it's being put down. Proximity match, we can try that. I think that's actually giving us better results in terms of blending. So we can try that. So these are different modalities up here for the brush, or it can recreate texture that it finds in the surrounding area. I'm just going to increase that brush size. And you can see there that it's laid it down as a consistent texture. Now that would be fine if we did that all over, but it would look weird if we just did it locally in a few spaces. So that's not bad. We could do that provided we did it everywhere. So I'm just going to do it over here, and here, and here. I don't want to do it that way because it's just going to look weird in the end. So I need to back up. Notice I have my history palette here. This allows me to back up in time all the way back to before having done that. And that's available here, Window, History. So back to the spot healing brush. And we can continue on. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still on the wrong mode. Just back up in history and remove the texture so we can do proximity match. Make that a little larger to take in more of a sample. Go back to ContentAware and see how that handles it. That seems to be better, but it's still flaring out here a lot. So another tool that we can use is the healing brush tool, and that's sample based. And I don't have to sample just from the brush, I can sample over here. So if I hold down the Option key, I'm sampling from this region right here, and then applying that on here. And notice the little crosshair follows me. Now you've got to be very careful, because if you cross over here, you're now sampling the sample. And you start to create patterns. You can see that happening across this way. So you be mindful of that. Option key to sample, and you want to keep changing your sampling spot. So you mix it up. So it looks very random, and it doesn't look like you're just sort of cloning from the same area all the time. So that is the healing brush tool. And again, you can make it a more diffuse effect, so it's not as stark. So I've increased the diffusion. Again, I'll sample from here. and drop that in there. And that seems to be giving me better results. And we continue like that until we've fixed it. Another tool, the patch tool. So I've determined that this is actually a cap. And the child's head is probably shaved. If a boy, possibly a ponytail in the back. But this tool, just to show you in a very stark way what it does, is it allows you to select an area like this, and then to fill that area based on a sample from somewhere else in the image. And so I've just removed this poor child's eye, you can see. Okay, and I'm just going to back up. There we go. But this might come in handy here. So I've established that this is maybe a knit cap. I can see these rows in here, and so maybe I want to recreate that in some way. So I can select an area here, and I can clone that from here. Likewise, select an area there, clone it from there. Select this area here, and clone it from here. And so I can start to patch this up and recreate it. Select this area here and clone that from here. So that's the patch tool. It looks just like a little patch. And then the ContentAware Move tool. Now it's better to show that on a different type of image. And for that, I'll just very quickly grab an image from Google, and we'll go, and I'll just put man in field. Oh. And there we go. We've got this fella here in the field. I think that one's nice, right there. Okay, I want to take this fellow. Okay, so we'll take that image, save it to the desktop. That kind of looks like me. Good Lord. That actually looks like, how does that happen? Okay. That was me singing from The Sound of Music, by the way. And I'm just going to bring that in, file open. So just to see the ContentAware Move tool, so we open that up. He needs to be back the way because I want to put some type in here for The Sound of Music. And so I would use the lasso tool. I could put a little bit of feathering on it. I got 10 pixels of feathering. And I just go around them just like this and say, excuse me, I'm just going to option to remove a bit of that selection there where the pole is. And I say, you need to move over here. Oops, Command Z. I need to choose the actual tool first. So I choose the ContentAware Move tool, and I'll just move Jim over to here. And you'll notice it's like I was never there. Now, there's a little bit of cleanup that one would need to do around here. There's a little bit of a halo, but that can be fixed quite easily. And so that's the ContentAware Move tool. So you can envision situations, real estate photography, this would be great. You know, if there's an unsightly telephone pole in the way of a property, or an old beat up newspaper box that you want out of the way, and so you just want to feature the property, that ContentAware Move tool would be very handy. Okay, so we've got our picture. Let's say we've done the fix up, we've patched up all the areas. Now we want to colorize it. And I'll just do that in another video.